Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samast Jan Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayani Amba Tvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidutsura suragana devaya tasmai devaya tasmai. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So Bhagwan, having given the highest teaching in the last few shlokas, even though it is summarizing the Bhagavad Gita, but it's the highest teaching of the Gita, where he says, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddesher junatishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. Ishvara, the Lord, is in the heart of all, causing all of us to act. And tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. So Bhagavan says, seek refuge in that Ishvara, the Lord, who is within and without, and surrender to that Lord fully. And with that Lord's grace, you will achieve supreme peace and the highest goal in life. And last week we covered two other beautiful shlokas, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyah, Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. He says, we are involved in so many other activities. Dharmas here means our duties to our body, to the mind, to the intellect, to our family, our community, and so on. Those are essential. But let that not be your main purpose. Make me, Lord says, me as the Lord, make as our spiritual goal, make that your highest goal, the spiritual achievements that you wish to accomplish. And let that be your supreme goal. And make me alone. Everything else should be secondary to my spiritual journey. That's what Bhagavan says. Your spiritual journey should be the supreme goal. Everything else related to yourself or to the community or to family should be secondary. And I will then uplift you and take you to the highest. Do not worry. You say, oh, if I start doing spiritual activities, who will take care of me and my family? Everything will be taken care of, Bhagavan says. Does not mean we have to give everything up, but make everything secondary to my spiritual goal, which should be my main goal in life. And then we had studied Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakta Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosime. So Bhagavan says, put your mind in me. How can I turn my attention towards the Lord? Putting my mind in God, becoming Lord's devotee, sacrifice and prostrate. And that is how you reach God. That's the goal of spiritual life, is to become one with God that is within and without. We are already one with Him, but in our mind we feel our differences because of our vasanas, because of our tendencies. Even though body, mind, and intellect I am, but I feel separate from Om, which is God within, because of my ignorance. So now Bhagavan says that this teaching I have given you, whom should it not be given to? So we'll study that and see why Bhagavan is saying that this teaching, who should it be given to and who should it not be given to? And then what is the benefit of having this teaching? So chapter 18, shloka number 67. Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrusave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuyati. Together, idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrusave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuyati. So idam means this knowledge that I have given to te, that I have given to you. Na vachyam. Vachyam is in the second line. It should not be spoken. It should not be given to who? Na tapaskaya. Those who do not have any austerity, do not practice any self-control. And vachyam, and should not be, vachyam is to be used for all. Na vachyam for who? Na bhaktaya, one who has no bhakti, no devotion to me. Kadachan, Bhagavan says, never it should be given to people who have no austerity, no self-control, no bhakti, no devotion. Nacha ashu shrushave. Ashu shrushave. This is a very interesting term which has two meanings. One is shushru means to listen. So one who does not want to listen to this teaching. Do not force it on him. And ashu shrushave also means one who does not want to serve, does not want to help the world or serve the world. He is not deserving of this knowledge. And then what is the last one? The one who abhyasuyati, one who criticizes me, who criticizes God, complains about God. So those are the people who are not deserving of this knowledge. Those who have no austerity, no bhakti, do not want to listen, do not want to serve, because the main knowledge of Bhagavad Gita starts with karma yoga. So one who does not want to do karma yoga, and one who complains or criticizes me. So when it says it should not be given, does not mean that we start checking at the door, okay, do you fulfill these? You have a checklist. If you don't, then you are not allowed. That's not the point. What Bhagavan is saying, that people who do not have these qualities, do not have love for me, do not have attitude of service, self-control, criticize, or are unwilling listeners, will not benefit from this knowledge. If you have no interest in this knowledge and I forcefully drag you out from your house and say, come on, you're not going to be interested. Or if you have no. So the point is that we'll talk about each of these qualities, but the point is that these qualities are essential for a spiritual seeker. So that's what Bhagavan is saying, that if I want to become a spiritual seeker, learn Bhagavad Gita and study this, I should develop these qualities. If I have them, good. If I don't, work on them. And working on these qualities will improve my study of the Bhagavad Gita. As I study the Bhagavad Gita, I will develop more love for God, more devotion, more willingness to serve. So these knowledge support each other. The knowledge supports the qualities support the knowledge. So they are both required. I must study the Gita and I must develop these qualities. Now, somebody asked Puja Gurudev, when he came to first start teaching in the around 1950, it said, it is said that this knowledge should not be given to everybody, and there are some who come to your talks, Puja Gurudev, who are crooks and criminals, and we know they are the cheats of the society, and why are you allowing them in your talks? So Gurudev said it very beautifully. He said, who goes to a hospital? One who is sick. One who is healthy, he doesn't need to go to the hospital. So this teaching is like a hospital. A person who does not have these qualities is the one that will benefit. Of course, others should come too. The other thing, he said it very beautifully. He said that Mother Shruti, that means this Gita Upanishads, Mother Shruti has a way of protecting herself. What it means is that one who is undeserving, who has no interest, the knowledge will not appeal to him. Mother Shruti will protect herself. What it means is either he will have no interest or he won't come back. Ek bar aaya, that's it. Oh, this is not practical. This is very old, not useful. So the knowledge can be given to all, but this shloka is for us to develop these qualities so that we become worthy students. So, but Bhagavan is giving in the negative way, but we have to take the positive interpretation out of that. So now what is tapas? Tapas is, we have one idea of tapas is we have standing on one leg in the mountain, in the forest, in rain and snow, or not moving. But here tapas means austerity, means self-control. So one who lives a life of self-control can conserve his energy. Otherwise, we waste our energy on so many useless things, just wasting time in talking or wasting time in watching TV, or not that one shouldn't, but too much time on the phone, on the internet, on just roaming around, going here and there mindlessly, or just wasting time doing nothing or doing unproductive work, repetitive work. So they say when you conserve your energy, which you are wasting in all these activities, then that energy which you conserve, you preserve it within you and then channel it in this direction. That the energy which I was wasting in so many useless things, certain essential things we have to do, but we have to see, okay, this is useful for me, this is not useful. This will help me on my spiritual journey, this will hinder me. So limit my activities, going to parties and things like that. After some time, the spiritual seeker doesn't even have much interest. Okay, if somebody calls, I'll go. If somebody doesn't call, I'll sit home and study the Bhagavad Gita. So conserving energy that we are wasting in so many other uh, activities does not mean one should not be social and all, but too much time in that should not be there. More of the time should be spent in internal growth. So that is tapaskaya. So one who has self-control and preserves that and channels it in the higher path, sitting and studying the Bhagavad Gita, remembering the shlokas, contemplating upon them, then such a person will come to me, Bhagavan says. And then the next one is bhaktaya, one who has devotion. In the conserving energy also, I was reading, it says about pilgrimages. When we go to pilgrimages, what is the benefit of going to pilgrimage? If I go there, I will say, oh, I'm not going to have my bed. I may have some, to stay in some dharamshala. I won't have hot water to take a bath. I have to get up early in the morning. But then doing those activities, what it does is it controls my sense indulgences and teaches me how to, even on the pilgrimage, even when it is uncomfortable, to remember the Lord. So that is called bhakti. Then that is called tapas. Next is bhaktaya, to the bhakti, to the devotion, one who has devotion. And it is very clear, this Bhagavad Gita cannot be studied unless one has devotion for Bhagwan, one has love for God, because that is the prerequisite to progressing on the spiritual journey. Because my journey is to reach the divinity within and without, and to know that God. And to know that God, I have to put effort. And to put effort, I'll only put effort when I have love for the path. It's like anything else, if unless you love that particular path, you won't do it. Like if you start studying math and you are in college doing undergrad math, postgrad, PhD, you have to have a love for maths. Otherwise, you're not going to. Otherwise, if you do all that and then you later on you find, I don't enjoy math, then you have wasted your time. So same way, having love and devotion for God. They say, you know what, Bhagwan, he just keeps talking about himself. I am Ishvara, I am this, I am that, come to me. So he says what to do. He is Ishvara, he is the Lord. So he's saying what he is. He is the Supreme Lord manifest. So what can we do? He has to say that because that's who he is. People say, oh, Bhagwan did avatar. So I read recently, Gurudev says, Avatara means coming down. Bhagavan Sri Krishna did not come down. The supreme presence, the supreme reality, Brahman, manifested on this universe to take all of us up. He did not come down. He appeared and manifested to take us all up. And we find throughout his life, he's removing demons and he's giving the right knowledge to Uddhav, to whoever he comes in contact with, he teaches them the right teaching. And of course, even in the battlefield, he's telling Arjuna what is his duty, what to do. So we should have an attitude of gratitude and praise for Bhagwan for giving us this knowledge. Then he says, Na ashu shrushave, one who does not want to listen. And that's what they say. You cannot forcefully bring somebody to listen to this knowledge. And that's why forcefully converting, some faiths, they forcefully convert by sword or by money or by, that doesn't work. A person has to willingly come and be willing to listen. And that's what Arjuna was a good student. He tells Bhagwan, please teach me this knowledge. I don't know what it is. And so a student who is willing to learn and is willing to surrender to the Lord, such a person will benefit from this knowledge. So willingly, it should be, just close the door. Then the next point is service. And as we have seen, the Bhagavad Gita, the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita itself starts after Bhagavan tells about the supreme knowledge. The third chapter is Karma Yoga, service. And without doing service, you will not progress on the spiritual path. So karma, bhakti, and jnana all are required. Karma is service, bhakti is love and devotion, jnanam is knowledge. So I must know God, I must love God, and I must serve God. Serve God means God does not need service, but seeing the whole world as God, I serve everybody, and that is called service, where I serve the world as a manifestation of God. That's why Gandhiji said Harijan. He called these lower, these people who were looked down upon as Harijan, as people of God. And he said, Jana Seva is Janardhan Seva. Serving God, serving people is serving God. So that's why those who are willing to serve. Then he says, one who criticizes Guru and God, criticizes, puts down, and tries to have no respect for Guru and for God, such a person will not benefit. And that is very important. Not only why should I have respect for God, but respect for Guru, like Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji, who has given us this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So having reverence for Guru is as important as having reverence for God. And I'll end with a very beautiful story. So Shankaracharya ji was, as you know, the great teacher who revived this Vedic knowledge in the 8th century. Before that, it was declining, and he revived it and brought it up. And so one time he was traveling with 4 or 5 of his main disciples, Padmapada and others, and they were traveling through different parts of India, and he would go to areas and he would try to spread this knowledge, get into debates and arguments with people, not arguments, debates, to give them the right knowledge and revive Hindu culture. And we owe a great debt of gratitude to Shankaracharya ji. So he went to one time he was in the hills of Andhra Pradesh, and there were these Kapalikas. Kapalikas were people who believed in human sacrifice. They had this wrong understanding. Kapalika is one of the names of Lord Shiva, the Ugra Roop, the fierce form. And they believed that God will only be pleased if we make human sacrifices. And so that was their belief. So when Shankaracharya ji came and he started teaching, their leader, whose name was Ugra Bhairav, he said, you know what? He had idea that I either should offer the head of a king to my God or the head of a great saint. If I can sacrifice the head and offer it to my Lord will be pleased with me and I will get whatever I want. And they used to do all these tantric rituals, horrible rituals and chanting and blood and all that, fire and all. So Shankaracharya ji, after he was done preaching, he goes and talks to him alone. And he says, Mahatma ji, Bhagwan, I want to offer your head. I cannot offer a king. King is not going to, stay still for me. But I would like to offer your head to my God and please God. And that way I will get whatever I want. And Shankaracharya ji was beyond the body. He said, body means nothing. Atma alone is real. He says, you want to take my head? Go ahead. I don't have a problem. Just cut it off and take it. But you have to do it in the middle of the night. I'll come to you quietly in the middle of the night, because if any of my disciples hears that this is what you're going to do to me, they are never going to allow that. So I'll come middle of the night. So they set up, okay, tonight. And at midnight, Shankaracharya ji quietly gets up and walks out of his ashram, and he goes to where this Ugra Bhairav was doing all these rituals with the fire and chanting and blood and skulls, all that they used to do. And he had a trident with skulls on it, and which was very sharp. And he was going to use that to cut Shankaracharyaji's head. So he's purifying the trident, and Shankaracharyaji is sitting in samadhi. He says he has no fear. The body is meant to perish anyway. So if it's time for the body to fall, it will fall. And this guy is getting ready and chanting. Now, Padmapada was one of Shankaracharyaji's very dear disciples. And even though Shankaracharyaji didn't tell him, he wakes up. And he says, my guru is in danger. He could sense it. He said, something is not okay with my guru. What should I do? And then immediately he was a bhakta of Narsimha Bhagavan, Vishnu's incarnation of Narsimha, half man, half lion. So he invokes Bhagavan Narsimha. And immediately the power of Narsimha comes in him. He chants his mantras. And he flies literally to that place. He can tell where Shankaracharyaji is. And Ugra Bhairav is just about to use the trident to cut off his head. And he goes there, grabs him, and he has so much power of the lion that he smashes that trident into two, throws it, puts Ugra Bhairav on the ground, and he becomes Narsimha himself, half lion, half man, and with his claws he tears the stomach of Ugra Bhairav and saves his guru. So that is called Guru Bhakti. That is how one can progress. And Shankaracharyaji opens his eyes and sees Narsimha Bhagavan there. And he immediately composes a hymn in praise of Narsimha. That was Shankaracharyaji's beauty. Whichever temple he went to, if he went to a Ganesh temple, he would compose a hymn in praise of Lord Ganesha or Bhagavan Sri Krishna or Devi. And here he composes a beautiful hymn in praise of Narsimha Bhagavan, and then they come back to the ashram. So the point is that if I want to progress on this spiritual path, I need to develop these qualities. I must have devotion for God. I must have self-control. I must love God and Guru. I must surrender to them. I must have bhakti for them. And I must be a willing student and active student who really wants to pay attention, listen carefully, and then use this knowledge to myself evolve and to help the world to get better. So that's the purpose of this shloka, that why one should practice these qualities, which will help. We'll have to end here today because today is Ganesh Chaturthi. So we will just do a half an hour class. And then we will go into the main hall to do Ganesh Puja. And next week, then we will resume the Bhagavad Gita for a whole hour. So we have 1 or 2 minutes. Any quick comments or questions? Otherwise, we can do the closing. Yeah, Kusum.
I like your Gurudev's comment. He says this
little loud, please.
Said there is not a trace of prejudice in this stanza. It is equivalent to saying, please do not sow the seeds upon the rocks, because for the sower will never be able to reap, as nothing can grow on the rocks. That's why these qualities are needed, because if something is just said, it's not going to go. And the second reason Gurudev says that this knowledge is so subtle that unless we are prepared and purified our mind, it's not going to go and not benefit us. So it's for us rather than Lord saying, don't give it to anybody.
Right.
It's just like a mirror. If mirror is not clean, you cannot see your face. You have to clean the mirror to see the clear reflection. Exactly same way, to clean our mind, all these qualities, then it will benefit. And the third reason is that sometimes if the mind is not prepared and they listen to this knowledge, they may spread wrong messages to other people, and then it will become a gospel, which is untruth. So those are some of the reasons that
yeah. Thank you. Did everybody hear? Could you hear it? Could you hear Kusum talking? No? I think it's on the speaker. Everybody else heard it? Lata and everybody, you heard it? Yeah, only Carrie didn't hear. So I think what Kusum said is that unless you are prepared, it's like putting seeds on rocks. So the person will never benefit unless he makes his mind ready. Mind should be purified. And with a pure mind, then only this knowledge will stay and will benefit us. So she quoted some lines from Pujya Gurudev. You can read his commentary also. So we'll end here. We'll see you next week. Those who are in the hall can please go to the main hall after the class where we'll have Ganesh Puja. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namah. Hari Om. Thank you. Hari Om.